Live in HD from WVUE TV New Orleans. This is Fox 8 News at 6.
Welcome back. Time now 7:48. You might remember those 9 oil cleanup workers who were rushed to the hospital last week after getting sick. Well, some of them are now asking a judge to sign a temporary restraining order against BP to do several things, among them get back clothing BP may have confiscated. The fishermen say it could be evidence of how harmful the oil dispersant Corexit truly is. Attorney Steve Herman representing some of those fishermen and here this morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Walk me through this TRO, this temporary restraining order, if you don't mind. It's a 3-part request.
Exactly. One is to preserve evidence. We want to make sure that nothing happens because BP still has, for example, control over the vessel of Mr. Wunsel, who's in the hospital. He was discharged late yesterday afternoon. So they have his vessel, so we want to make sure that we're able to test it and inspect it and everything while they have control over it. There was some question about what happened to his clothes. He was told that BP had his clothes. Apparently the hospital has his clothes, and we're going to try to get that back. The second part is, you know, frankly, a lot of my clients and others would like them not to use dispersants at all. Makes it more toxic and harder to clean up. But there's separation of powers issue. I don't want to get too legal. But we're saying, at the very least, if you're going to use dispersants, don't drop it on their head and give them protective gear, breathing apparatus, protective clothing, stuff like that, so they're not getting sick from it. And then finally, frankly, you have a lot of workers. They're in desperate economic times. BP's paying them a lot of money to do this cleanup work. It's dangerous, and they're afraid that if they speak out or raise questions or concerns about health concerns, then they might lose their jobs or be prejudiced in other ways. And we want to make it absolutely clear that for anybody to raise a health issue or a concern or a question, that BP is not going to take any action against them. And so that's really the 3 parts of the TRO, and we're hoping that we might be able to work some of that out amicably with BP today without a formal order, but we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, it seems like some of that's very reasonable. Judge Barbier may hear this today?
He might. With the TRO, he could take it up at any time. He could give us notice of a hearing. He could sign it and then give BP an opportunity to avoid it. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
And have you heard back from BP on any of these points?
Well, they were very aggrieved about the allegation that they took this guy's clothes. That's what he was told. And so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that the hospital has the clothes and not BP.
His clothes are missing. They probably have the chemical on them, and we don't know who has them for sure.
Correct. I think the hospital at this point probably does. Okay. And so we're working with the hospital to try to get back. BP. The other thing is BP's counsel indicated that he wanted to at least talk with us a little bit on tailoring some type of thing to assure the workers that if they did raise health questions or concerns, there would be no retaliation. And so I expect to be talking to BP's counsel about that this morning to formalize that in some way.
Preservation of evidence. You say BP still has Fisherman Wunsel's boat. Is the thought that there may be some dispersant on the boat that you'd want to test?
There could be. And we've asked to try to go down there and do some kind of joint inspection either yesterday or today because it was supposed to go out Wednesday. Tomorrow, and we've been assured that the boat was kind of taken out of the rotation and won't be going out tomorrow. And so my partner Jim Click is hoping and planning to try to go down there and do some type of a joint inspection today.
Real quick, we've got about 30 seconds. John Wunsel, the fisherman who ingested and inhaled some of this dispersant, just released from the hospital last night. How is he?
Yeah, I think he's doing okay. He's still feeling a little queasy, and he's very concerned, and I think he's going to need a little bit of follow-up treatment. And I think a lot of these workers are hopefully not, but may end up with some health effects.
Long-term from this?
Well, it may be long-term, hopefully not, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. And from what I understand, the federal government has asked BP to start doing some studies to make sure that there aren't long-term effects and to pay for them, and we'll have to see what BP's response to that is.
All right, Steve Herman, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate it. Remember those 9 fishermen who claim they got sick after coming in contact with chemical dispersants? Well, now some of them are filing suit against BP. They're asking a judge to sign a restraining order against BP, ensuring no retaliation is done to a fisherman who raises health concerns. Stephen Herman represents one of those fishermen.
Frankly, you have a lot of workers. They're in desperate economic times. BP's paying them a lot of money to do this cleanup work. It's dangerous, and they're afraid that if they speak out or raise questions or concerns about health concerns, then they might lose their jobs or be prejudiced in other ways. And we want to make it absolutely clear that for anybody to raise a health issue or a concern or a question, that BP is not going to take any action against them.
The restraining order also asks BP to stop using dispersants until protective gear is handed out and to preserve any and all evidence, things like fishermen's clothing or the boats the fishermen have been using.